that we talked about it before. It's just a nice way to say it's not, still in the highlighter. Haven't done that in a while. Wow. The answer is not going to come out as a perfect square. You're not going to have, there's going to be no perfect squares. So you're looking at like the square root of 2 or the square root of 5. Or like the square root of 8, which actually turns out to be 2 square root of 2. We have not done that stuff, so I'm not going to expect it. So what I want to do, like I kind of did in the square root one, is I want to give you the answer that I'll accept, and then I want to take it a step farther to see if I can kind of advance you a little bit. But don't think I'm expecting it, okay? So just don't freak out about it. So this has f of x, and I'm going to ask the question, what is f of x the same thing as? And your answer should be f of x is the exact same thing as y. Y and f of x are the same thing. I like to say y is like the baby version of it, f of x is like the adult version of it, okay? It's the grown-up version that we probably should really be using through math from the beginning, but that's just me, okay? So it's fine how we are. Everything's on one side. We're good. So we're going to find us the solutions. We're going to do the quadratic formula, okay? While I write this down, you hopefully are writing it down too, but I also want you to look at x squared plus 4x plus 1. Why are we doing the quadratic equation? Well, we can't factor it because the factors of 1 are 1 and 1, right? It's not a prime number, it's an identity number. And 1 will never get you 4. So right away, you can't factor. You could do completing the square, that's annoying. You could graph, no one likes to graph. So quadratic formula is the second best choice from factoring. And what I didn't do is I didn't go over what A, B, and C are. Oops, okay. So I'm going to write this every single time. Don't care if it's annoying. Okay, so A is 1, B is 4, C is 1. Okay, so negative B, that's positive, so we're going to tack on a negative. B squared, so 4 times 4 is 16, minus 4 times 1 times 1. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, scroll this down a little bit. Okay, so 1 and 1 don't really matter, right? It doesn't do anything. So we have 16 minus 4, which is 12. Oops, I'm just going to rewrite that because that is a hot mess. Okay, so we have negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 12 all over 2. This is the answer I am okay with, okay? We haven't gone any farther than this. We haven't learned how to simplify the square root of 12. I think you might have done it in 8th grade, but I'm not really sure. So if you're okay with this answer, you can stop right there. I'm not going to push you. But if you would like to, I'm covering up our level of understanding here. If you'd like to see how to simplify it farther, then that's what I'm about to do. So if you like to see it farther, follow the question. If not, skip on to number 4. So the way we simplify 12 is we do it by pairs, and this is just kind of a weird way. Not a lot of teachers do it this way, but that's okay. And we're going to divide 12 by any prime number, so 2, 3, 5, 7, etc. Okay, so I know it's even, so I always go with 2 if I see it's even. Divided by 6, and that's, or when you divide 12 by 2, you get 6. I'm going to take 6 and divide it by 2 again, and you get 3. And because it's a square root, where everything comes out in pairs. So I have a pair right here. So whatever the number is that you circle is what goes outside of the square root. So we get negative 4 plus or minus 2, and whatever doesn't pair up stays on the inside. So square root of 3 over 2. Now you can't simplify the square root of 3. It's kind of locked in. Okay, you can't touch it. The only way you can simplify it is this way, so you're done. But we're going to notice one more thing. We have an even number, an even number, and an even number. And I'm going to make this green. Like green for good. If these are all divisible by the same number, you can simplify it. If they are not all divisible by the same number, you cannot simplify it. So since these are even, I'm going to divide this by 2, divide this by 2, which is 1, and divide this by 1. Now since the denominator is 1, I don't need to write it, so we end up with negative 2, plus or minus the square root of 3. And the 1's there, it's just not written. So would this be awesome if you could do this? Absolutely. But if you only get to here, then I'm not mad at all, especially with doing this through a computer screen. Okay, number 4 is a little different. It's set up as a kind of an equation, not in like function notation or y equals. So we have to get everything to one side, and I told you it doesn't really matter how you do it. You can move the 7 over because that's the easiest method, or you can move everything over here. And yes, I would like to keep the x squared positive, but I can already see you grumbling about me not just taking the easier move. So we're going to take the easier move. Please note, if you move everything over from one side of the equation, it equals 0, right? Negative 7 plus 7, do the math, right? Equals 0. Okay, so that's what you have. So then we have to figure out what A is, what B is, and what C is, and I'm not writing this because I want you to memorize what A, B, and C are. The number in front of x, which is called the coefficient, is negative 1. The number in front of the x, called the coefficient for x, is negative 2. And this is the constant, and it's 7. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and do the equation. I want you to try to do this one as much as you can, especially with it being irrational. Just know, again, you don't have to simplify this. Okay, you only have to simplify this right now if it's a perfect square. All right, so see what you can do. Pause the video now. Okay, now that you unpause, you're probably seeing that I'm getting notifications up here. I don't know how to turn them off, / I keep forgetting, but it's okay. So lovely Facebook, oldest social media that I have. Showing my age. Okay. Anyway, so formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I ask you again, what part of the formula do you know? Well, you know that negative b over 2a is called the axis of symmetry. Good. Okay. So we're just going to plug and chug. Plug and chug. I had a student that used to hate that, and I'm just going to keep on saying it. All right. So negative 2, opposite of a negative is a positive. Awesome. Negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 minus 4 times a, which is negative 1, and c, which is 7. Good. And then we're going to multiply the entire thing, divide the entire thing by this 2a, and that turns out to be negative 2. I really hate negatives on the bottom, but we're just going to power through and see what it gets us. Okay. So I want to multiply the negative 4, the 1, and the 7 together because these are all multiplied. Let's go back over that. We really haven't gone over it, but let's just talk about it. These 3 things are multiplied. So I'm not going to touch this 4 until I multiply this down to one number. Okay, you got to really watch your order of operations. PEMDAS. Or Europeans say is GEMDAS. Personally, a lot better. Okay, so negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, so just again, you're going to hear me type in your calculator. I'm going to prove it. You have negative 4 times negative 1 times 7. It's positive 28. We're then going to add the 4, and that gets you 32. Now, you're going to see an even number inside the parenthesis, or inside the square root, and think you can simplify it. And you absolutely are not allowed. Do not simplify a radical unless you follow on with the previous problem where we did it, or this problem. Okay, 32 is even, but you can't simplify it just how you normally do. I'm going to make a line to separate this problem. Okay, so if you want to stop here, you can. If you want to keep on going with me. Okay, I'll make a line to show you. So I have 32. I'm going to divide it by 2 because it's even. Get you 16. I'm going to divide that by 2, and you get 8, and divide that by 2, and you get 4. And you can keep on going, but you can't go any farther past this 2 because that's a prime number. So pair, that comes out as a pair, that comes out as a pair too. Wow, I'm just getting all kinds of Facebook and things. And 2 times 2 is 4. So I end up with 2 plus or minus 4, and there's a 2 left on the inside because it was left all alone. It's like the 5th wheel in the situation, all by negative 2. Okay, so I've told you in times past that I do not like this negative sitting on the bottom. So what we're going to do, and it gets a little tricky, is we're going to divide 4, 2, and negative 2 by negative 2. And we're doing that because it drives me nuts. But we're allowed to do that because this is even, and this is even. And we do not touch what's in the square root. All right, so we're going to get this a little tricky here. Okay, so 2 divided by negative 2. 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. But let's talk about this. I have plus or minus negative 2. Well, plus negative 2, positive and a negative make a negative. A negative and a negative make a positive. So is that not the same thing as just plus or minus 2? Well, it is. It's really weird. They don't bring that around very often in education, but I'm doing it for you. And negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1, so there's no need for it. So that is your final answer. Now you'll do more of that kind of stuff in Algebra 1, or Algebra 2, sorry. And again, the yellow is what I'm looking for. The blue would be awesome. Okay. So if you have any questions, again, get a hold of me. That is it for quadratic equations. Be safe, stay healthy, all that good stuff. See ya.